Let's discuss three questions today. Number one, can Jacob Zuma destroy the ANC? Number two, why did Jacob Zuma choose now to endorse the Umkhonto weSizwe party? And number three, will the ANC expel Jacob Zuma? Let's listen to some of what Jacob Zuma had to say today in his very, very epic announcement.
I was a member of the ANC until I died. But if the ANC goes out of the way, I will take time to correct it. And this is to rescue the ANC, what I'm doing.
Right. Let's answer the questions that I asked at the beginning. Number one, can Jacob Zuma destroy the ANC? Jacob Zuma has a lot of support and influence to this day. He was the face of the party for 2 elections, and he was more on the ground than Thabo Mbeki and Cyril Ramaphosa, and he has more charisma than those 2 individuals. Jacob Zuma is still today more popular in the townships and rural areas than Cyril Ramaphosa could ever hope to be. Some people are also beginning to think that he has been vindicated in some of the political positions he took. For example, on the manipulation of the rand. For example, on trying to implement nuclear as opposed to other alternative forms of energy mix. Some people also think that he has been treated very poorly under the Ramaphosa administration ANC, and that he has not really been given the respect that he deserves. If you think about the narrative of 9 wasted years, what the people who were speaking, pushing a Ramaphosa narrative were saying basically was that there was no value in Jacob Zuma's presidency and everything that was done. And the people who were working on the ground under Zuma's administration would have felt very sour about that kind of commentary. Also, it's important to recognize that many people are of the view that the ANC was better managed under Jacob Zuma than it was under Cyril Ramaphosa. For instance, more scandals about salaries not being paid have happened under Cyril Ramaphosa's administration of the ANC than happened under Jacob Zuma. How many headlines did people see about people not being paid within the ANC? Also, it's very critical to notice and acknowledge that there are people who are very disappointed and frustrated with the way Cyril Ramaphosa is doing as the president of South Africa. If you look at the fundamentals, the economy is worse under his tenure, his 6 years, than it was under Jacob Zuma. The currency is worse under his tenure than it was under Jacob Zuma. Load shedding is worse under his tenure than it was under Jacob Zuma. Unemployment is higher under his tenure than it was under Jacob Zuma. And the idea that he was going to deal with corruption and remove corruption from the ANC seems as if it's not true, because he has kept a lot of the same ministers who were working under Jacob Zuma. Many of the people who were implicated in the Zondo report are still working today. And also, there have been so many corruption scandals under his administration as well, that the idea that he is this guy who's going to rid the ANC of corruption is one that is no longer persuasive. And also, there are people who do not think that Cyril Ramaphosa has implemented the resolutions of the party. If you look at resolutions around the role of the Reserve Bank, resolutions around the funding for higher education, this year, the Minister of Finance announced that there's going to be a reduction in higher education funding. That just doesn't sit well with many people within the ANC who are very policy-oriented and want the leader to uphold the policy resolutions of the ANC and not go their own direction. Jacob Zuma accused Cyril Ramaphosa of being a puppet of white monopoly capital. And some people may view him as being somebody who worked more for white monopoly capital than he did for the party and the people of South Africa. Because of all of these things, Jacob Zuma can hurt significantly the performance of the ANC. And he can do so even more significantly in spaces such as Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal. Why those particular ones? Because those still have very large Zulu-speaking people in them. And Zuma is very popular to this day amongst the Zulu nation. Second answer number 2. Why did he do this now? Why now? I think that it's to get leverage. You can't negotiate from a position of weakness. and you can't negotiate without a seat at the table. Zuma still has lots of legal troubles. He still has lots of children and grandchildren to take care of. He, like any politician, worries about his legacy and how his history will be written in the annals of the ANC. Now, if he has all of these concerns and concerns about how the final chapters of his story will be written, he wants to be in a position to negotiate properly, to maybe make some of these things go away, make sure that some of these attacks go away, make sure that his status as a statesman in South Africa is one that ends with respect and not disdain, not disrespect. As you get closer to dying, you begin to care about all of these dynamics. What's going to happen to my kids, grandkids? What's going to happen to my legacy? This gives him some leverage and a voice in the election season. And it may also help him protect people within the Zuma faction, because there are still people who are worried about retaliation post the 2024 election, about a cleaning out of all of the remnants of the people who were very vocal supporters of Jacob Zuma. So this may also be a way to buy leverage and find them maybe a landing place if ever they are removed from ANC politics. The third question around whether or not the ANC is going to expel Jacob Zuma. It would be a big mistake to expel Zuma. He actually made this move to try to force the ANC to make a mistake. Jacob Zuma is a very, very famous chess player, and he tries to make his moves very strategic and with a long-term view in mind. So I don't think that this is the first move. He seems to have thought many moves ahead, and it would be a very big mistake for the ANC to react spontaneously and in a reactionary manner to just have a knee-jerk and remove him. The last time the ANC expelled someone of very high prominence and political talent, because those two are significant, Zuma has significant political talent, even at his old age. Do not underestimate that name. While that man, Zuma, may not have the time that the economic freedom fighters have. He may not even have the energy that the youth of the EFF have. And he may not even have infrastructure, but he does not need infrastructure. He's one of those unique people right now who is known in every political party. Every branch of the ANC is still his infrastructure. Every branch of the EFF is infrastructure that he can access due to the strength of his brand and the notoriety of his name. So he doesn't need to have structures in the way that other political people would need to have structures. Everybody who's mobilizing right now knows Zuma, knows what he thinks, knows what he stands for. And some of the people in those structures support him to this day. So it would be a mistake to undercut him. Donald Trump, notoriously in his first election, did not focus on structures. He didn't focus on the traditional political things because he was already an entity and a household name. And he was pushing for rhetoric that was very popular with the right wing of the American political spectrum. In the same way, Zuma does not need to do some of the things that other people would historically have to do, starting afresh or starting anew. He has a brand name. It would be very easy for Jacob Zuma to get 1 million votes in the next election simply on the strength of his brand, his legacy, and the number of people who continue to support him to this day. Look at how well the IFP performed in the last two elections, even though they were a declining brand because of the leadership of Mangosuthu Buthelezi, even to this day. So it's not something to undercut, undermine, or even disrespect. Jacob Zuma is a significant political player to this day, and I think anybody who is trying to undermine him is not being cognizant of just how well beloved this man is on the ground. What are your thoughts? Let's have a conversation.
Thank you very much. I was a member of the ANC until I died. But if the ANC goes out of the way, I will take time to correct it. And this is to rescue the ANC, what I'm doing. On the next question, Mr. President.
I'd like to
understand why do I ask me that question? Wait a minute. You know, I was a member of the African National Congress, at the same time a member of MK. I've been a member of this too. It's not a competition. If one wants to do anything, they want as their own business. I joined MK as a soldier, and I took an oath. When I joined the ANC, I signed my signature. I did not take an oath. I'm sure we can go. I'm trying to make it home. I will take a decision, very specific decision that I even listen to why. Because, and one of the points that I should have added to my brother there. The African National Congress is a liberation movement. South Africa. Not just a political party, as we call it only. It was established by the traditional leaders. So the nation, not a little party that move out here, you get here. This is the African National Congress. I belong in it. I believe in it. I will die in it. But once people mishandle it, I will also come in to rescue it. That is clear. No. Why should I answer that question there? Why should I answer that? But Mr. Zuma has been approached by, what is that? I've just put my case here. I've put my case. I'm speaking today for the first time. Who would have known what I'm doing? Who would have then approached me? I live with the ANC. I've been the leader of the ANC. I was asked to leave before I finished my term. I did not say anything. Because I'm a disciplined hater of the ANC. Something is being wrong, and I stand up. It is not the first time, by the way. When I write my history, I realize that even in prison, we have discussions, very serious discussions. ANC will debate. When a person differs with you don't understand. What is that? Shut I have said I'm going to vote MK. That is enough for you. To know whether I will be approached, whether I will agree, because what I'm talking about is a serious matter of the country. I have been a volunteer of the ANC. I get instructed by my organization. I got instructed by the ANC. I got instructed by MK. And I went for both. And I remain a member of both. Even if MK was doing the wrong thing, I would stand up and say this is not right. For example, one of the things we talk about in MK is discipline. If there's an MK those not disciplined to deal with, I think you not fully meaning was serious, but